Hey folks, Dust here, and I wanted to do a quick video to talk about the idea of cash coming back into the competitive map pool here for CSGO. There's been a recent update to the game which brought the newest version of cash away from scrimmage mode and back into matchmaking, which could be the first sign of this map making its return into the competitive map pool, perhaps in time for this next major coming up at the beginning of 2020. Maybe it'll be after that, not really sure. Or maybe they just put it in the matchmaking just because people wanted to play at matchmaking and then collect more data. I'm not really sure, but it does seem like there has been a pretty decent consensus in the community that they'd like to see cash back in the competitive map pool. And really the only question that's been kind of thrown out there is what map should it come in for? So with this video, I kind of want to talk a bit about cash as a map and, you know, whether or not I want to see it in the competitive map pool. And if so, what maps should be taken out in order to have it come in? Because there's definitely been a lot of debate about this all throughout social media and just throughout the community in general. So I kind of want to give my 2 cents because that's what I do in these videos. I discuss shit. So here I am again doing that. So enjoy. So yeah, as far as cash as a map goes, I like cash as a map a lot. And what they did with this newest version of cash is they did a lot of things to change it aesthetically, and they made a couple of big changes, one particular of which being kind of the new window and middle on the CT side. But the foundation of the map is very much the same as far as all the different routes that you have, the ways into sites. They haven't really changed that much dramatically. Again, they just kind of gave it an aesthetic facelift. Now, that is actually the biggest piece of debate right now about cash is the new aesthetics. You know, some people say it's too green, it's too vibrant, it affects visibility too much. Obviously, this whole situation with new character models coming in with all the custom agents, it throws a wrench into things. They're already dealing with visibility issues just based on reactions that people have from watching the very first show match that came out and the changes since then and playing it in scrimmage mode or different pug services. And so there was already kind of some debate about it being too vibrant and all that good stuff. And then obviously the custom agents just add that complication. And so, yeah, that's really been the only gripe I feel like I've seen about it is just the fact that maybe some of the aesthetic changes need to be scaled back a little bit. Maybe they went like a little too hard on the design or something like that. And you know what? Fair enough. If people are having issues seeing certain things or if people feel like visibility is an issue, then yeah, fair enough. There's also issues with like FPS, I guess was the other thing, like performance issues, people having FPS drops and stuff like that, which is going to happen. But it seems to me like if the visibility stuff and the FPS stuff got optimized to a point where everyone was getting good performance and felt like they could see things well enough, it seems like that would alleviate pretty much all the criticism I've seen about the map. I haven't really seen anybody attack the foundation of the map, like its actual layout or anything like that. And I think that's great because the cache layout is actually fantastic. I think it provides for a lot of versatility in play. Anyone who says it's like stale or something, I feel you can make that argument about virtually every map in the pool since none of them has seen really dramatic layout changes. I mean, they're all kind of at a point now that they're played out and they have a defined meta and pretty much everyone knows everything at this point. Every now and then you might see like a new boost or a new smoke or something that you hadn't seen before, but for the most part, most of the maps are pretty figured out. And so I don't think that like stale as an argument is really good enough. Like it could be a part of your argument, but I feel like you have to have more reasons than just that to really knock something down. So when it comes to cash, again, I like the layout a lot because I think it provides for a lot of play. You know, on the T side, there's obviously plenty of opportunities to do different set pieces on either site, you know, whether you want to throw smokes or something from outside A main and then kind of attack a split through A main and squeaky, or whether you want to get mid control and use highway as like another route into the site, you know, whether you want to just do like, you know, pop flash dry hits or anything like that. There's plenty of opportunity for that on the A bomb site. B, same thing, plenty of different nades you can throw into the site from Sunroom or from B lobby, and you can do some set pieces. We've seen, you know, like the Ring of Fire stuff and checkers. We've seen different smoke walls you can throw on the site itself, so there's a lot of opportunity for set pieces is my point. We've even seen at times people come up with ways to smoke B site and boost events and go to mid, so that's kind of a thing that Cloud9 used to do back in the past. We saw like Zeus, the coach of Now Made in Brazil, came up with some strats where you could throw smokes from the useless room between mid main and B main and smoke into the A bomb site, but then be right there to hit B and throw fakes that way. So there's been a lot of different things that T's can do, and obviously once you get mid control, it opens up all kinds of options to pressure CT spawn, to again split B through vents or split highway into the A bomb site or what have you. You can play at different speeds. So again, there's a lot of versatility on how you can play the T side. Now, on the CT side, this is one of the maps I feel like gives some of the most opportunities for CTs to be aggressive. I mean, you could certainly make the case how ops can pressure Fountain and stuff like that on Overpass, or how you can pressure Water Control on Short B on Overpass, as well as a CT team. And there's a couple other maps you can point to where you can be a little bit aggressive and play for information. But I feel like Cash really kind of epitomized that, because you yourself as CT can play aggressive at mid. You can smoke mid main, you can molly the boost, you can get into vents, you can control vents yourself, you can boost into vents from checkers if you smoke off B main and pop flash your way through. So that there's different ways to be aggressive towards mid and vents. Also, oppers can play under the balcony, like tarp area at B, and like peek into B lobby and play for information, or you can even just smoke and flash your way through and charge into B lobby with rifles. And then obviously you have ways to pop flash peek A main, smoke A main, pop flash through it, peek in, push squeaky door. There's a lot of ways you can play aggressive and play formation on the CT side, but you can also play for retake setups like at A, like playing from truck and highway, and not playing in the site. And so there is a lot of versatility again on this map, and that's why I like Cash a lot, is because it provides you a lot of options. You're not really limited in your strategy by the map configuration itself. Like, you kind of make it what you want it to be, and that's my favorite types of maps, are maps that allow you to do that. So yeah, I'm on board for Cash coming in, I guess, is the short of it, right? Kind of a long way of just saying that I like Cash a lot and I'm glad it's coming back. And yeah, maybe there needs to be some optimizations to visibility and performance, but otherwise I think the layout works great. I think the new window at mid does provide CTs a little bit more option to kind of peak mid to late round and not take as much risk. They can't just simply be smoked out by like one smoke. You have to kind of throw like two smokes or a smoke and a Molotov or something like that to really make sure that you're not going to get peaked late as you come up highway as a terrorist. And so that is going to provide for a little bit of different play in the mid area. So good to see it. Now, the big question, what map should it come in for? This is kind of the big debate that we're having right now. The first one that a lot of people would probably say is Vertigo, just because, there's been a lot of distaste for Vertigo. It doesn't really feel like Counter-Strike. It's so small. It's really fast-paced. It isn't as tactical, it seems. They keep redoing it over and over again. Like, we've had a lot of drastic changes to Vertigo over the last few months. We're playing different versions pretty regularly, it seems. And it's a nightmare for observing as well, because of the verticality of the map and the mini-map not really being the best on deciphering where people are actually at, whether they're like mid or in that transition period on the most bottom floor between A and B site. And there's really a lot that kind of makes Vertigo just not really feel like Counter-Strike and just feel like it has a lot of problems. I think that they've opened up the A-bomb site a bit better with some of the most recent changes with the new hallway, by scaffolding and things like that, but I'm still a little bit irked by the fact that they closed off elevator room from pushing into kind of that new hallway and stuff like that. I think that would provide a little bit better of a map, because right now it seems like retaking A, you're kind of funneled in one spot if you're CTs other than flanking. So there seems to be still some issues there. I still think the B approach is kind of awkward with the stairwell. So I don't know. I personally don't like the map. Maybe some people do like it. I mean, in some regard, it's different and new, which kind of makes it fun to watch, I guess you could say, and fun to play probably because it is so different. So you could definitely make some arguments in that regard on why the map should stay. But here's the thing, it's not happening, right? Like, I don't even really think there's a point in debating Vertigo, because there's no chance it's getting pulled out the map pool. Not yet. It's the most recent addition to the map pool, for one. For two, Valve seems pretty committed to changing it and trying to make it better. I really doubt they would continuously update the map as much as they have been if they were really just going to can it. So I don't think Vertigo's going anywhere. I think it's still going to be on board for at least the next major cycle. Maybe later on down the road it'll get rotated out if it's having too many problems and the changes Valve keeps implementing don't ever really get it to where it needs to be, I guess you could say. But I just can't see it coming out. So I would love to see Vertigo come out, personally, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And again, maybe they can keep doing changes and eventually get it to a good place. I'm open to that idea. I'm not completely against the map in that regard. The other map you could talk about is Dust 2, which I would certainly be on board for. I do have a bit of a bias against it, perhaps. I just feel like the map has played out for so long. It's a map that's kind of boring to follow because the strategy is so shallow. It's more of just kind of like a DM map, it feels like. I mean, it is the most popular DM map, to be honest. But I just don't feel like this map would get brought out either, because it is just so synonymous with Counter-Strike. Like, it's kind of that map that everyone just knows. Even if they don't play CS, they've heard of Dust 2. They probably know what the basic layout of the map is. They probably have a good feel for it. Almost anyone has played a Dust 2 deathmatch or pub, even if they don't actively play Counter-Strike. If they've opened up the game one fucking time, the map they probably played was Dust 2. That's like Blood Gulch in Halo 1. You know, even if you hadn't played that game, you probably know what Blood Gulch is. You probably seen it. You know, it's just one of those kind of iconic maps, I guess you could say. And so I can't really see them getting rid of it, but on one hand I could, because it would be nice to see like a true overhaul of the map. It felt like last time it got taken out and redone, it barely looked any different. I just feel that the map just, I don't know, I would just love to see it gone, because to me it's just boring. It's just boring to watch at this point. It's boring to play. I don't enjoy it at all. It's just, I don't know, man. I just really wouldn't mind seeing Dust 2 come out, just for the simple fact that I'd like to see it redone. Like, there was talk about redoing the doors into B site to kind of make retakes maybe a little bit better for CTs on the B bomb site, or just like peeks in the tunnels a little bit better if you're kind of playing outside B towards middle. So swapping around the doors, you know, maybe change the material of the doors again. You could probably make some subtle changes that will make the map just overall better. So why not go ahead and take it out and do those things to actually maybe get the map in a better place for better play. Maybe you do make like one real drastic change just to kind of change the layout of the map overall. You don't have to change a ton, but maybe like what Cash did, where they added that new window at middle. Maybe you could do something like that that would kind of change the interaction of the map a bit, and you know, still keep it Dust 2 what we're familiar with, but just kind of add something, add a little flavor to it. You know, maybe that would kind of revitalize it in my eyes, and maybe it wouldn't be as boring or as stale to follow. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'll be on board with Dust 2. You know, Vertigo or Dust 2, those are like my personal, just, you know, subjective thoughts on what maps I'd like to see come out. I'm not saying that objectively that's the best idea, especially because, again, how iconic Dust 2 is, the fact that Vertigo's so new, we still need to flesh it out more. So, but that's just my personal picks. Now, one of the picks that I have been seeing called for a lot, and what I want to personally argue against, because I can't believe that people hate it so much, is Mirage. There's been lots of calls to remove Mirage, and I feel like most of the arguments on why people want to remove Mirage is because, well, A, it is kind of the oldest map in the pool right now that hasn't seen changes. We've seen pretty much every other map has some type of graphical or layout overhaul, or at least subtle changes made, and Mirage is kind of the map that's been around for the longest and hasn't really had any changes. So from that perspective, sure, maybe Mirage has aged a bit, and so maybe taking it out to revamp it a bit like we've done with other maps like Train and Nuke and whatnot, maybe it is time to finally do that for Mirage. So I get that argument. But some of the other arguments against Mirage are just so mind-boggling to me. Like, some people say, oh, it's just stale, it's played out. You could say the same fucking thing about Inferno. People have been playing Inferno the same way for I don't even know how fucking long. You know, like, virtually every round plays out the same on Inferno. There are some teams that have slightly different styles that might be a bit faster paced, but we all know the map control style of Inferno, you know, getting apartments, getting top banana control, staging up, maybe getting control of brackets at top mid, and then making mid-round decisions from there based on, you know, how much, you know, loss you suffered along the way to get that control, how much utility you have left, how you think the defense is set up. You know, it's pretty played out, but no one's calling for Inferno to be removed, and even I'm not, because I think Inferno is a great map. It's a great map to watch, great map to follow, definitely you know, a good CS map, right? But so I just don't get how people could really say that against Mirage but not feel the same way about some other maps that are also quite played out. Like Cash, I think Mirage provides for a lot of versatility. When I want to truly understand like a team's overall style or kind of identity, Mirage is one of the maps that I always go to if they play it, right? Some teams ban it, don't really play it that much. But I feel if you watch a team play T-side Mirage, you get a pretty good understanding about what type of team they are. Are they an execute-oriented team? Do they just prefer playing mid-control default style? What roles do the players play on the team? You know, how are certain players used? Obviously, teams will vary up roles and styles from map to map, but I feel like Mirage is that map where you very clearly can tell like who's the entry fragger, who plays the edges of the map, who's the primary opper, and again, what type of pace the team likes to play, what type of set pieces they have in store for you, how dynamic they are, you know, if they just prefer playing default. You can learn a lot of that from watching a team play Mirage, because again, Mirage does give you that option. You can just play mid control. You can play a 1-3-1 mid control, you know, work yourself up towards connector and cat and ladder room and window, maybe even boost boost window, and then you start making mid-round decisions from there on what site you want to split. Or there are many different set pieces you can do for the A-bomb site. There's been so many different smoke variations over the years on how you can attack the A-bomb site. Same can be said for B. There's different ways you can smoke out B, whether you want to double smoke off cat and rush apartments, or whether you want to smoke off door and window, or do all of it, or whatever the case may be. There's lots of opportunities for set pieces. There's opportunities for really fast, just like dry hits up A ramp, or, you know, flooding out palace, or flooding out B apartments. So again, you can play a lot of different styles. You can be a dynamic team. The way oppers can be mobile on CT side, there's so many opportunities for you to like play B apartments or play palace, or, you know, yeah, maybe just play mid, but play it from different positions, whether you push cat or make the cool little jump out window onto catwalk, or, you know, there's just a whole lot there. You can even boost like from underpass and peek over the railings of catwalk into top middle. So there's just a lot of opportunity for play on this map. Again, I think you learn a lot about a team and their identity from watching them play Mirage. And I just think that, you know, any argument you make against Mirage about it being stale or played out, you can make for almost any other map in the pool. And I just think that Mirage is more versatile than some of the other maps as far as like what type of styles of play you can actually bring to the table and actually have like a unique identity to a degree. Whereas a lot of the other maps, you kind of have to play it a certain way, otherwise you're going to fail. So I personally don't want to see Mirage removed. I think it's a great map. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. But again, if they decide to take it out, hopefully they just don't take it out forever. You know, hopefully it doesn't stay gone for too long. Maybe just make some good tweaks, get it to a good place and bring it back. I'd love to debate anyone on Mirage, to be honest, because I just don't get why they're, again, so many of the arguments against Mirage I feel apply to many other maps as well that don't seem to be called to be removed. So yeah, I guess that's just like my biased opinion about Mirage. I enjoy casting it, I enjoy watching it, I enjoy playing it. I think, again, it's a great map. Now, the other maps, I don't know. Like, I think Overpass is in a great place. I wouldn't touch it. I think it's a great map. Some people don't like it maybe, but I enjoy playing it and watching it, and I think it's a pretty tactical map, so I quite enjoy seeing it stay. I personally don't like Train that much. I wouldn't mind seeing Train come out, but again, it's a pretty tactical map. It's kind of a specialist map in many ways. It's hard to pug it, so you kind of have to really be well drilled to be good on it. And it's a pretty solid map, so I can't really say too negative things about Train. Wouldn't mind seeing it stay. Nuke, I don't know, man. I feel like Nuke's grown on a lot of people lately. You know, a lot of people were calling for Nuke to be removed, but I feel like with some of the changes towards outside and, you know, some of the things that we've seen over the last few months with, you know, how people are approaching it, it feels like it's kind of grown on people, and I don't really see as much of a call for Nuke to be removed anymore. I wouldn't mind personally. Again, like the only maps that I really want to see stay for sure is Inferno, Mirage, and Overpass. Like those three I don't want touched. I really enjoy those maps. Any other map for me is fair game to bring cash in. But I feel like Nuke is actually probably lower on people's totem pole than maybe it would have been a year or so ago when people were really kind of calling against Nuke because of its problems with observing and watching and, you know, kind of how stale it can be at times. But yeah, I think Nuke's probably going to be pretty safe here. I would be really surprised to see it come out, but again, I wouldn't mind. And this kind of leads me to a bigger point. That's how in the video is that I would really want to see us get to a point where we're rotating maps a little bit more drastically. You know, I want to get to a point where we have a map pool of, let's say, 10 to 12 really, really good maps, and we keep it a 7-map pool at all times. I don't want to change that because I think that if you do an even number, you kind of fuck up how pick bans work. If you expand the map pool to 9 maps, then that's too much to be responsible for. So I really feel like a 7-map pool is what I want. But instead of like rotating one map in at a time, if we get to a place where we have 12 really good maps, we could rotate 2 or 3 maps out at a time. You know, so after every major, since we have 2 majors a year, so you kind of split the year into 2 seasons, so to speak, you could rotate out 2 to 3 maps every season, and that would really freshen up the game, I think, a lot. You know, you keep 4 maps, so you can kind of keep a bit of a foundation as a team from the previous season, but then you add 2 to 3 new maps, and so you completely change the dynamic of the map pool going forward rather than just doing one at a time. That means we have to get enough really good maps to be able to do that effectively and not really kind of tear up the scene. So obviously there's a chance that Cobble could make a comeback. We've already seen a new version of it played at times, although I don't really like the new version. I think that there's still some things that need to be tweaked on that map, but you could maybe see Cobble make a return at some point. Is Tuscan finally going to be an option? I mean, we've been hearing chatter about Tuscan for I don't even know how fucking long. It'd be nice to finally see somebody capitalize on it and actually see it in the map pool. Even if it's not Tuscan, just kind of copy the layout and name it something different with a new theme. You know, let's just get that layout in the game. You know, it's such a iconic map, and while it's kind of not a new map per se, it's going to be new for a lot of the players in CSGO who haven't played previous versions of the game, and it will be kind of a cool throwback for veterans. So it would be nice to see Tuscan finally make a return. And look, I even think that maps like Abbey and Biome have potential, you know, that we already see played, and, you know, whether that be casually or what have you. I do think that those maps have a little bit of potential to actually be able to be something, and then who knows what other maps might be on the horizon. But it would be nice to finally get to a point where we have a really big map pool, and we keep it a 7 map rotation, but we kind of just, you know, make more drastic changes to the map pool each season to kind of keep the game alive. 'Cause I think that that's one way you can kind of, besides adding new operations and new content and new game modes and new skins and different things like that, that certainly will attract the casual audience to come back. I think that rotating the map pool more drastically can also kind of keep the game fresh. So that's just it. That's what I want to talk about. It's just cash, the map pool in general, and just kind of go from there. So I hope you folks enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe for more content. Catch you next time.